Is actress Sophia Miles. Oh, what a good-looking panel I've got this morning. I haven't even had my roots done. It's terrible. Sophia is, of course, a familiar face from Doctor Who and Spooks, as well as big-screen roles in Underworld and Thunderbird. She's now making her West End debut in a brand-new piece of theatre called Utopia. Now, tell us about this, because it's a challenging piece, isn't it, Sophia?
Yeah, that's to say the least, yeah. Utopia, it's a piece of new writing that the concept was... constructed by Steve Marmion, who's the artistic director of the Soho Theatre, himself and Max Roberts, who works up at Live Theatre in Newcastle. And it is essentially, it's 13 new plays written from great writers like Dylan Moran, Simon Stevens, and our director Steve Marmion has hashed together these 13 plays to make one whole piece.
And it's all different takes on what would constitute Utopia.
Yeah, the concept of Utopia, kind of a perfect world. And
see, Alex Salmond calls it Scotland. It's
yeah, and sort of what we found is that the problem is Utopia is an unachievable place because one person's idea of a perfect world is completely different from the next. So essentially, Utopia is unachievable, and that's what we explore through the play. And we've got a great cast. There's 6 actors: myself, Rufus Hound, Laura Elphinstone, Pamela Miles, just to name a few. It's a fantastic group of people, and it's a right laugh. One minute it'll make you laugh, and the next minute it'll make you cry.
Well, as you say, everyone's idea of Utopia is going to be different, and we were chatting earlier on. I mean, you were saying there's a very surprising piece in there, a speech in there from someone one wouldn't expect to be associated with Utopia.
Yeah. Well, there's a speech that completely grips you. It's a political speech, and you can see the audience kind of going, yes, yes, nodding, nodding and nodding, and it's only at the last minute that it's revealed that this is actually a Hitler speech. So that kind of shocks the audience, the fact that they've kind of gone with it. But of course, I mean, that's probably why the man was as successful as he was.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the great power just to convince people. And how is it in theatre? Because you've done so many sort of big television roles, but theatre's actually kind of new to you, isn't it?
Yeah, the fact that you have to do it, I've got to do it again every night. Yeah. That's kind of, so I haven't quite got my head around that. No, it's been a fantastic experience. I have suffered from stage fright since I was a child. And I've always had a phobia of speaking in front of groups of people that public speaking in front of large groups of people that I don't know.
I have a word with your careers advisor.
How do you do it? But it's different though, because on television and film it's a very intimate setting. You know, it's not. It doesn't feel like you're on stage ever. That's been a huge challenge for me, but I've really enjoyed it.
I mean, do you have sort of coping strategies for that then? I mean, is it a genuine anxiety or just... Because you need some nerves, don't you?
Yeah. No, I haven't found a coping mechanism yet.
You just brick it every night.
Each night is so different, and that's the thing, is that it's never boring, because although essentially you're doing the same play, it's never the same play, because the play changes dependent on the audience's reaction, and one night the audience will laugh at a certain thing, the next night they won't, so it's constantly changing.
Do you have a preference? I mean, for me, I much prefer pre-record TV, because then you go, oh, I made a mistake, and I do it again. But do you have a preference between theatre and...
I think I'm more comfortable. I mean, I feel very much more at home on television or on film, just because that's what I've done since I was 15. So I'm very much out of my comfort zone, but I'm still I'm enjoying it immensely.
Since you were 15? What was your first role?
My first job was a television job called The Prince and the Pauper. I was spotted in a play at school when I was 15 by Julian Fellows.
Really?
Yeah.
So he just happened to be...
Yeah, well, they were looking for a young girl to play Lady Jane Grey, and because this particular job was going to shoot during the GCSE examination period, none of the posh schools would let the kids out during the exam, so... but my school's like, yeah, fine, you can have that.
And so what, you just got the call and say...
Yeah, and then I fell in love with it. As soon as I was on the set, I just knew that was where I wanted to be. Not in education anymore at that point, and so that's what I did.
I was looking at you with an air of jealousy and bitterness there.
No, I wasn't. I was just thinking, and yet you still turned down and played place at Cambridge, despite having not turned up for any exams, by the sound of it.
No, that's not entirely true. What happened was that I had a place at Cambridge, but I didn't get I missed one of my A-levels. I didn't get the right grade, and then the college at Cambridge said, you can come back, but you've got to re-sit. And at that point, I started working in the film industry, and that year I was offered a film for Miramax, Mansfield Park, plus I was offered a job with Johnny Depp to play his wife and get paid money to snog him. So I kind of thought, do you know what, I'm probably not going to go and read,
so just
spend
remind
the
me
year
again,
studying.
why didn't you take the place?
Exactly.
I'm not understanding this.
Jeremy is not interested in snogging Johnny Depp, clearly. You've done quite a few of the old sexy roles, haven't you, from quite a young age? Your father's a vicar.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of disapproving...
No, I feel like
noises?
I've always tried to kind of fly the... There's this stupid stigma attached, and it always irritates me, because Vicar's sons have there's nothing about them, but Vicar's daughters, there's always this stigma that we're supposed to be, you know, saucy little rebellious vixens, and so...
She was only a vicar's daughter. You knew that she shouldn't alter. I can never get past the second line of a limericks. Shall we have a wee break, see if somebody could fill it in?
Someone will fill it in for you.
Sophia, lovely to have you with us here this morning. Here's what you can expect from us for the rest of the morning. First up, should we scrap housing benefit for the under-25s? David Cameron says it could save us up to £2 billion a year and teach the young that life doesn't hand them everything on a plate. That if they want a house... Why did I go into that voice? I don't know. That if they want a house and a family of their own, they need to save up for it. Is he on the right track? We're going to take calls on that before it's over to Sophia for the rest of today's headlines. And while we're at it, is it time to chuck the chuggers? So-called chuggers or charity muggers have been banned from at least one British town, and 1 in 7 councils say that they would like to follow suit. An undercover newspaper investigation has revealed some slightly strong-arm tactics. So is it time to blow the whistle altogether? Then how would you feel about a letter arriving from your supermarket along the lines of, I see you've been buying jumbo bars of chocolate again. Have you ever heard of apples? There's a suggestion that supermarkets should use the data they gather from loyalty cards to give you health advice. It's so they can nudge you into a healthier lifestyle. Is it a good way to tackle obesity, or would you tell them where to stuff it? And finally, computers or dolls. For the first time ever, dolls have been toppled, not the kind of dolls you're thinking of, Jeremy, from the top of the list of toys girls prefer playing with by digital devices. Are you bothered? Eric's on holiday too. Same time as Matthew. People will talk.